Thank you, Madam Deputy President. Look, I wasn't going to speak on this, but it is an issue that I feel quite strongly about. And I've got to say to my friends over here on the crossbenches, I've heard what you've had to say. I agree with you on a lot of things. Capital versus Labor stuff, you know, the industrial issues, you're all solid on this stuff. But I do think that you're somewhat too dismissive of this issue. This is urgent. It is happening. The science is in. Now, the tragedy about this, Madam Deputy Speaker, is that we could be using this as an opportunity to actually stimulate our economy and create the new jobs of the future. Guess what? The market's moved on with this. The market realises that we are transitioning to a renewable economy. And you've got companies out there screaming out for government direction on this, and yet the inherent conservatism of those opposite continues to hold us back. We can have our cake and eat it too. If we had have done this back in 2007 when the impetus was there, when Rudd was in charge of the place nationally and we weren't scuppered by petty politics, we'd be there now. What we need is government to step up to the plate and proactively invest in renewables so that we can transition quicker than we otherwise would have to this new economy. And it's going to happen whether we like it or not. The question is whether or not we get there quickly enough to avoid the catastrophes that have been outlined in this motion. Now, I think the Labor amendment strikes a good balance between what the Greens have correctly pointed out is an emergency. We don't deny that. But we've signed up to international agreements on this sort of thing. I mean, what's the purpose of going to these forums, participating in the debate and agreeing to them if we're not going to have governments follow through? So all our motion does is to say, yes, we acknowledge there's an emergency and we want to meet our obligations under those international agreements and we want to act. But more importantly, what concerns me is the inherent conservatism of those in power who don't realise that this is actually the future of our country. We can create jobs, we can stimulate economic growth instead of having a fetish for surpluses. Why not borrow a bit of money and invest in these renewable technologies, and then instead of telling coal miners that they don't have jobs, we create the new jobs first, transition them first and then shut down the coal mines. We can do all this stuff, but there's no imagination, there's no ambition. We've turned into a low-brow, low-ambition nation, and it's because of the conservatism of those opposites that we're held back.